We do want to make this meeting available to folks who have not been able to join us tonight, because we know there are many thousands of people who have been impacted, and not everyone will be able to be here. So we are recording. And again, I just want to say thank you for taking time to be proactive, to get the information that is being offered tonight during this very, very hard and long week that you're experiencing, and the time that will come, which will also be very challenging. We recognize you've all been through an unbelievable number of emotions as you've gone through this disaster. And we know you have questions and concerns and that your needs are urgent. We encourage everyone to stay in the spirit of community as much as possible this evening, remembering that we're all here together to help make things better and approaching this conversation from that position, and being open to hearing the words of the folks who are here to help tonight. So we thank you for that. We want to hear you, and we know that you're scared and upset and angry and sad, and we are as well. We're with you. So we have our translation function, which I will just say one more time, and then I won't say it again, but we want to make sure everyone is in the language they want to be in for this meeting. Please choose the interpretation globe icon from your menu and click on English or Spanish. We ask everyone to do so to hear everything said in tonight's meeting. All right. I think we are ready to turn it over to Katie Arrington. I will say my name is Brenda Rittenauer from the city of Boulder. I've talked a lot without saying who I am. And we at the city of Boulder are happy to be able to support these communities, our neighbors, the people that we work alongside and enjoy the city of Boulder alongside. And we are happy to be able to spend time with you tonight and support you in this way. You may not recognize this format of Zoom meeting. This is a webinar where you can't see each other necessarily, but you will be able to see and hear from our speakers as they're speaking. Our chat is disabled so that we can all stay focused on the meeting at hand, on what's being said, but we do invite your questions in the question and answer box, and we'll be addressing them as we can and out loud later in the evening. We also have some questions that you all have submitted ahead of time, and we'll be getting to some of those too. So that we have the most amount of time to get to those questions, I'll turn it over to Katie Arrington from Boulder County.
Hi, everybody. My name is Katie Arrington, and I am the Assistant Recovery Manager for Boulder County. I am sorry we're all here together tonight, and I am glad we can provide this community space for questions and answers. We have 7 presenters for you all tonight, all providing very short information and with some question and answer period over. There are no slides, and the information will be brief and not detailed, so there may be some follow-up that you need, and the Disaster Assistance Center is always a resource for that. So with that, I will send it on over to Mike Chard, who's up next. Thanks so much for being here tonight, Mike.
Thanks, Carrie. To all our community members, as already expressed, very sorry that we're meeting under these conditions. What I'd like to do is just talk about what we're doing in the Office of Disaster Management. Currently, we're still running our operations and supporting the Disaster Assistance Center. We are operating a call center for you to be able to call in get information if you're looking for sources of information or need help to be referred. We're also still performing our public information messaging, trying to keep the most current and accurate information at your fingertips to be able to know currently the status of either programs that we have going on or the locations of like disaster assistance center or road openings. And then as far as what we're doing moving forward, more importantly, it's a small piece. There's a lot of, looking at the chat, a lot of questions there related to the non-emergency side, but a few, and I'll hopefully address those here now. But what we're going to do from a hazard assessment side is I've already reached out to the National Weather Service, Greg Hansen's director, requesting that we do a normal, after the fires, we look at flood and erosion potential and see if the risk profile has changed in the community. So we'll be executing that assessment. And if there's additional work or assessment needed, we will lean into private contractors for engineering reports. We'll also utilize the Colorado Geologic Survey to help us with any of those erosion issues. So more coming around that as we complete the assessment. We're also going to continue to support the recovery space of Louisville and Superior as requested. And then to some of the questions around, did emergency response system activated, where or how, the time of that. We're going to start setting up some debriefings, which will lead to after action reports and ultimately into improvement plans to start that continuous improvement cycle around preparedness, response, recovery, and then of course mitigation, looking at the things of is there other ways that we can, as we rebuild, do it with the chance of preventing this from happening, or if it does, really try to make sure that it minimizes impacts on our urban centers as we reestablish our communities. So, and that's probably bad. We already have communities, but rebuild in our communities is a better term. So apologize for that. So that's where we currently are in the Office of Disaster Management. And some of those questions related about the emergency response system, I think we'll have more detailed answers. It's just so really we've been working right now, just working to support the response and getting utilities on and access and getting you home. And we just don't have the time to answer with detail some of the questions you have, but we will down the road have the ability to further address them. That's all I have. Katie, if there's anything else you need from me.
That was great, Mike. And when their questions come in specifically to you, I'll field them to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Adam from FEMA, you are up next.
And before Adam gets rolling, just a reminder to folks, I've said it a couple times, but I know folks keep coming in and may have missed it. We are not unmuting to take questions tonight, just to keep ourselves efficient. There's over 1,100 people attending tonight's meeting. So we want to be as efficient as possible. So we'll take questions in the Q&A box. So please type your questions there and we'll be happy to get to them as we start to do Q&A. Thank you. Go ahead, Adam.
Okay, thanks, Brenda. Good evening, everybody. My name is Adam Hines, and I'm one of the program specialists out of the FEMA Region 8 office located here in Lakewood, Colorado. Last several days, we've been getting our program set up, our staff deployed, and setting up our recovery center to help people with assistance who've been impacted by this disaster. FEMA has several forms of assistance that may be potentially available for individuals and families impacted by the fires. Some of the types of assistance would be financial assistance for things like rental assistance, home repair, lodging expenses, personal property, and then also financial assistance for medical expenses, dental expenses, childcare, transportation, repair, replacement, and then also potentially some moving and storage expenses as well. And one of the most important things about our programs is that the eligibility and assistance depends a lot on people's insurance. So legally, we cannot duplicate any of these benefits that would already be provided by insurance. So that's why it's really important. We try to message this to all of our applicants that it's important to submit those insurance documents, the determination letters that they may receive for their insurance companies, and any denial letters that they may receive as part of the process for FEMA to submit those documentations. And then lastly, we recognize that this can be a very confusing process. So what we recommend to everybody who applies for FEMA assistance is to keep in touch with FEMA. And you can do this several ways. You can do this by calling our 1-800 number and speaking to a FEMA specialist over the phone. That's 1-800-621-3362. And then you can also visit our recovery center that's located at the Disaster Assistance Center. And you can meet with a FEMA specialist directly and discuss your case with them one-on-one. And this also is the same method for applying for FEMA assistance as well. So you can apply by calling that 1-800 number. You can visit our recovery center and apply with somebody in person. You can also go online to disasterassistance.gov, and you can also download the FEMA app and register that way. So that's it for me, Brenda and Katie. I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, Adam. And just as a reminder, FEMA is at the Disaster Assistance Center every day. So if your questions don't get answered on this call, they're there. There's a lot of them there. They're really there to help. So head on over to the Disaster Assistance Center. I think Gary, you're up next.
I thought it was Darla, but that's okay.
I might have mixed it up. Sorry. Darla, you're up after Gary.
After Gary, okay.
Okay, great. Well, good evening, everyone. My name's Gary Sanfason. I'm the Disaster Recovery Manager for Boulder County. I'm going to talk to you about the Disaster Assistance Center that's been established as a one-stop shop for resources and services and information. The address is located in the chat. I'm going to say it, 1755 South Public Road in Lafayette. It's open 9 to 7 p.m., 7 days a week, and it will be open for the next couple of weeks. There's a website also that's a great resource, boco.org/marshal-fire, boco.org/marshal-fire. So a common question is, who is eligible for the services and aid that's at the Disaster Assistance Center? Anyone who's impacted by the Marshall Fire, primarily residents of Louisville, Superior, and Unincorporated Boulder County. Homeowners, renters, business owners, whether you're a storefront owner or home business or home-based business, please come into the center. Also, what was the damage, type of damage available or eligible? Fire damage, wind damage, those are both something you can come in and get services. Whether or not your home is destroyed, damaged, or you were evacuated. These are services and assistance for all folks who've been impacted. So as been already said, FEMA is at the site, and it's a great place to come in and register for individual assistance. The Small Business Administration is there as well, and they provide individual assistance as well as assistance to businesses. We have a number of insurance companies in the parking lot that you can help address your claims. In addition, there are 27 service providers, and that number grows every day, providing a variety of different services. And we also have bilingual Spanish-speaking staff to help you. So some of the highlights, as of yesterday, the end of the day yesterday, we've gotten nearly $2 million out to 700 households affected by the fire and the wind event. This does not even include the financial support that Red Cross is providing. So as you can see, the funds that have been generously donated by your neighbors and across the country to the Boulder County Community Foundation are going out to folks such as yourself. So come into the Disaster Center to get some of that financial support. Some of the other services include, how do you fill out a claim for insurance, gift cards, information about short and long-term housing, help with vital records, referrals for emergency shelter, food assistance, mental health services. We also, tomorrow, will be setting up COVID-19 testing and tetanus vaccination and COVID vaccination. We have transportation vouchers and financial planning. Finally, I just want to thank you all for who've already come into the center and for your patience and grace as we continue to gather resources and implement procedures to assist you. This is a huge lift. And we're all in this together, and we're here for you. So we look forward to seeing you at the Disaster Assistance Center. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Darla, you are up next.
Great, thank you, Katie. My name is Darla Ahrens, and I'm the Division Manager for Boulder County's Resource Conservation Division, and also leading up the Debris Management Program for Boulder County. We've received a lot of questions related to debris already on private property, so I want to ensure you that debris removal is a priority for us at Boulder County. There were so many homes that were destroyed and damaged, and we know that this isn't just debris that needs to be cleaned up, and that what really remains is parts of your home and your possessions and your memories. So please know that we empathize with you, and we understand that you're anxious to take those first steps to rebuild your home. So we're working on getting all the answers that you're looking for as quickly as possible. We have been working really closely with the state and with Fema and our impacted municipalities to create a coordinated debris removal program for homes that have been destroyed or damaged by Marshall Fire. So we're conducting our debris removal in a 3-phase process. You may be familiar with the first phase, which was our community roll-off program, where we dispatched over 70 roll-offs throughout the communities for spoiled food collection and water damaged household items. That program is coming to a close as of today. And then we move into our phase 2 next, which has 2 components to it. Excuse me. The first phase of phase 2A, I will call it, includes the right-of-way removal of the imminent threats, such as downed trees and vehicles on public roadways and other large items to create a safe pathway for our pedestrians and vehicles. This phase will begin in the coming week. And then our 2B phase is a curbside sweep of smoke damaged household items. So I will preface that we will not be accepting any fire related debris or ash debris during that curbside sweep, only smoke damaged items that can be primarily recycled and otherwise landfilled. Then we move in to the phase 3, which is the largest component of our debris cleanup efforts. This is a coordinated debris removal on private property. So this includes the fire damage debris, the ash, all the structural materials on your property. We anticipate this program kicking off in about 4 weeks after we go through all of the FEMA approval channels. Now, you don't necessarily have to participate in this county-led coordinated effort. You can choose to do the cleanup work on your own. And if you do decide to opt out, just know that there are other regulatory requirements that you'll have to follow. And that includes different permitting requirements and inspection requirements, deconstruction or demolition permits from your local building department, hauler licensing requirements for your contractor, regulations for handling and transporting the ash and debris from your site. And so we're happy to help you answer any of those questions that you may have if you choose to do the cleanup work on your own. If you are interested in participating in the county-led cleanup effort, please make sure you get to the DAC that Gary was just talking about and register with HHS by conducting your intake form. And then that way we can reach out to you directly with more information on our debris removal program. And I do just want to clarify, there was a press release that went out earlier today that kind of instructed you to register for the debris removal program at the DAC, which isn't exactly true. We really just need you to conduct your intake with HHS, and we'll get your information from them and reach out to you directly about the debris removal program. So everybody who registers with their intake will be contacted about the debris removal program that's happening. And I'll be available in the breakout sessions to answer any specific debris related questions.
Thanks, Darla. So there's a lot of specific debris related questions in the Q&A right now, which we may not get to all of them. But Darla will be going between the Superior and Louisville breakout sessions, and we have another debris specialist that will be in the unincorporated Boulder County session. So if there's a specific debris related question that does not get answered during this group meeting right now, you have another chance to ask it during the breakout sessions. So Amy from United Policyholders, you are up next. And thanks for being here tonight, Amy.
Thanks so much for having us participate. So good evening. I am here as a representative of a nonprofit organization called United Policyholders. And for 30 years, we have been bringing a program to wildfire impacted communities called the Roadmap to Recovery. And through that program, we offer services free of charge to help you make good decisions along the way of getting from where you are now to where you want to be. A lot of our staff have had personal experiences with wildfires, a lot of our volunteers as well. We have a table at the Disaster Assistance Center. If you've already been there, you may have met my colleague Val Brown, who will be participating in the breakout session and available to answer questions. We have volunteers there at the center. Again, been there, done that. So the main things I want to just remind you tonight, you've already done the right thing by being here and getting information. People ask us all the time. It's just so overwhelming. What should I be doing? And then the answer we give is, you get through this one step at a time. And so, pacing yourself is one of the most important things. So our recommendation right now, yes, insurance is incredibly important. It's the vehicle to get you financially back as close as possible to where you were. It doesn't drive itself. One of our main things that we do is to explain insurance and processes, and we will be offering our series of webinars. Our first orientation will be on January 27th, and if you sign up at info@uphelp.org, uphelp.org, we'll put that in the chat. You'll get on our mailing list and you will get notified of all the things we'll be offering. We have a great relationship with Boulder County. We helped out after the 4 Mile Canyon fire and pretty much all the wildfires in Colorado since then. So, you are in as good as hands. If you're going to lose a home or have your home damaged, Boulder County is a good place to do that because there's so much expertise in your community. So a couple things briefly, we recommend focusing on finding a comfortable place to get resituated and taking care of your family and your households, getting into a comfortable place. Get a copy of your insurance policy. Your insurer is supposed to give it to you within 3 days after you notify them of a loss. If you want a certified copy to be on the safe side, they have to give that to you in 30 days. We also recommend that you start journaling. Keep a journal. Any notebook will do. Cash is king, of course, now. Asking your insurance company for advances on your temporary rent benefits is fine. Legally, they have to give you 1/3 of your contents benefits without requiring you to do an inventory under a law that we, with help from Boulder County, helped pass after the 4 Mile Canyon fire. Couple more things. Our website, uphelp.org/Marshall. That's where you'll find the library we've set up for your community, where we will be putting updates and relevant information in the coming months and the years ahead. For those of you who had a total loss, and I know there may be, you want to go back to your site and possibly sift, we recommend taking photos. I know that health officials recommend against sifting, but taking photos of the debris before it's removed is a good idea. For those of you who have a partial loss, a standing home, smoke damage, the most important thing there, of course, is to get assured by a qualified professional that your home is safe to move back into before you do. And that can be challenging because there's a lot of competition right now for the experts that can give you that assurance. So getting yourself situated in comfortable temporary residence while you work with your insurance company and or a professional that you feel comfortable with to give you that assurance is the way to go. Pacing yourself on all these things is the way to go. Finally, a couple of little words of wisdom we offer about dealing with insurance. You hear a lot, you'll read things, you'll hear rumors. Our recommendation is you paid for protection. You are entitled to good claim service and coverage. But you have to be realistic about the process. Your insurance company is a business. They're not FEMA. They're not a charity. So to a certain degree, you, who has the biggest stake in financial recovery, need to do some of your own homework to make sure that your loss valuations are accurate and your claim is moving along as it should. You have tremendous help available free from your Division of Insurance in Colorado. Insurance Commissioner Conway has already done a town hall. He will be doing more. We work very closely with his agency. And again, their services are free. Consumer helpers are there toll free. There are also professionals you can hire, but it's too early right now to worry. You should really be focusing on getting comfortable, in my opinion. A lot of the questions in the chat are good questions, but they are things that I would recommend that you not worry about right now. Really focus on getting situated. Last thing, lots of help is available to you. Our volunteers, all the people that are here tonight, you're not alone in this situation. Many people have walked the road you're now on, and we're all rooting for you, and we are here for you. So that's pretty much all I want to say. And thank you again to the organizers. Stay tuned for our future offerings, and please do register at info@uphelp.org. You'll find a lot of information on our website on all these issues that you've got questions about. So thank you, Katie and Brenda.
Thank you, Amy. And I just want to reiterate using United Policyholders. They've been helping out in the county for many disasters. They're an excellent resource. Go to that first workshop they're going to have. Will be very helpful to anyone struggling with insurance issues. They can help. So not last, we've got Erin up, and then Rob from BVSD. So thanks, Erin, for being here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for holding this space for us to share some information. So my name is Erin Dodge, and I am serve as the water quality coordinator for Boulder County Public Health. And I am going to today speak to multiple public health areas, including ash and debris and air quality issues, as well as water quality issues. I just wanted to say a lot of the information I'm going to share is going to be really high level, but there's a lot more detail on our website. We issued a press release today with most of this information as well. And we are also at the DAC, the Disaster Assistance Center. So feel free to come by. We have staff there every day, as long as we're open, and ask us your specific questions. We're also giving out N95 masks and gloves. And I heard today that some child-sized cloth masks were dropped off. So not sure the quantity of those, but if you need some masks for your children, especially with school starting back, stop by and we will try to help you. So I'm hoping to share a little good news, and I don't want to steal too much from the municipalities, but I received notice just before this meeting that all boil water orders were rescinded by the state health department. So tap water is well on its way to being safe to consume. And I would anticipate Superior and Louisville sharing that news during their breakout session. You definitely are going to want to do some flushing of your plumbing in your house, running empty cycles of your washing machines and your dishwashers. Probably want to run cold water through all your taps for about 5 minutes or so. And I anticipate the utilities putting out a lot more information on how to do that. If you are on a well and you are not in one of the municipalities or one of the water districts, making sure that you're inspecting your wellhead. If it was damaged, you definitely are going to want to reach out to a well service provider and have them come out and inspect your well. If you lost power and you're on a well, make sure you're taking the steps to ensure that that drinking water is safe. Have it tested. We have lots of resources on our website, again, about how to do testing, where to go. And again, we're at the Disaster Assistance Center and can help answer those questions. Until you get that water tested, if you're on a well, use bottled water or boil water for food prep, brushing your teeth, and drinking until you receive test results that show the water is safe. When you lose pressure during a power outage, it can allow contaminants to enter your drinking water system. If you're on a septic system, very similar, be sure to go out and inspect that area and make sure pipes aren't melted. If there was a lot of traffic on top of your soil treatment area, your leach field from the firefighting efforts or considerable scorching, you may want to consider hiring a professional to come out and inspect your septic system. Now I'm going to sort of switch gears to talking about some air quality issues. You've probably maybe have seen the press release. Boulder County Public Health strongly recommends not disturbing the ash or debris, as it's very caustic and contains toxins and carcinogens, which can lead to cancer. When you're outside in the burn area, at a minimum, you should be wearing an N95 mask. If you do have to come in contact with the ash, we highly recommend wearing additional PPE, such as gloves and Tyvek suits, because again, it is caustic and it can pose problems for your health. The air quality in the burn areas should be considered poor until the monitoring confirms otherwise. So making sure that you're avoid engaging in exercise and continue to wear a mask when in and around the impacted areas. If your home survived the fire, the smoke damage could range from barely anything to pretty severe. In cases when it's fairly severe, you're probably going to want to work with your insurance company to get somebody in to help clean that up. Making sure you're changing your furnace filters, changing your smoke detectors, and also your carbon monoxide detectors, as they were very likely compromised, especially if you have smoke damage in your home. We've been working really closely with partners at CU who have put together some really great details on cleaning your home, especially if it's more on the mildly impacted side and it's something that you can do yourself. And that information the website was released in our press release today and is also on our websites. And I'll be able to share those, and we can also answer more detailed questions after. We also want to share that we are offering tetanus shots. We're going to be offering them, I believe, at the Disaster Assistance Center tomorrow from 9 to 5, in addition to COVID first, second doses or a booster, whatever you need there, as well as flu shots, I believe, are going to be available. And again, that's from 9 to 5 at that Disaster Assistance Center. There is definitely an increased risk of tetanus, especially if you have not had a vaccine within the last 10 years. And last but not least, think about food safety. In addition to all the perishable food that was in your refrigerator, and without electricity, we know that goes bad, but think also about your dry goods and other foods that were open. If you had smoke damage in your house, you should consider disposing of those foods as well, as they could have been, the smoke would have infiltrated into those foods and probably do not want to eat those. And we will have additional folks from my organization that will be available during the breakout sessions to answer questions. And our contact information is in our website. So thank you for your time tonight.
Erin, quick question. Is that tetanus booster situation only available tomorrow, or is that going to be available ongoing?
It is available this Friday, and there's a plan in trying to get a plan in place. We're doing lots of vaccinations, so they're working on a plan to offer them further into the future, but that is not fully developed yet. That's the one date I do know of. But we also have resources. If that doesn't work for you, stop by our table and we'll get you in touch with our vaccine clinic and they can help you at a different time.
Great, thanks, Erin. All right, Rob from BVSD, why don't you close our speaker session out? And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Katie. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Welcome, everyone. First and foremost, I want everyone to know, for those of you that have students in our school system, we're committed to make sure that we're here for you and your kids, not just now, but in the weeks, months, and years ahead. We have lots of supports available for our students and families. We believe that we've connected with all of our impacted families. If we have not connected with you and you've been impacted, if you go to our website, www.bvsd.org, I'll add that in the chat as well. There's a form that you can fill out and we'll be in contact with you, or you feel free to reach out to your school's principal. For students that are impacted, parents, please know that your kids do not need to worry about grades or attendance right now. Our first priority is going to be their health and wellness, and we'll figure everything out later. We were able to open our doors yesterday, but we've talked to our teachers about making sure that school right now is to focus on the well-being of our students, and that we'll be easing into academics. So if your kids haven't been able to come back, that's a-okay. We're going to work with them when they are able to come back with us, and if they were able to join us, we're very happy to be able to welcome them back yesterday. We have a district trauma response team, which is working to offer trauma counseling for our students. We've had neighboring school districts sending us counselors. We have a team at each and every one of our 9 impacted schools. For parents and kids, do not worry about school supplies or Chromebooks. Through our partnership with our foundation, Impact on Education, we have a backpack with school supplies waiting for each and every impacted student waiting at their school when they do show up. And if their Chromebook was damaged, we'll replace that, no worries at all. We want to make sure that parents, you have plenty to worry about. Do not be worrying about those things. And then finally, for those of you that are displaced or have lost your homes, you will qualify for something called the Mckinney-Vento Program, which is a set of federal supports for families that are displaced, academic supports, help with transportation, lunch, school fees. Again, once you notify us through either the form or talking to your principal, that's all you'll have to do. We'll walk you through the rest. So just please know that BVSD is here for you, and just allow us to help you. Let us know. Any questions, again, always reach out to your principal. You can always reach out to me directly, rob.anderson@bvsd.org. And we're here for you. We're going to make it through this together. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Rob. Brenda has some questions that were submitted in the chat, in the registration link that she's going to go through. And then I've kind of been grouping together questions in the chat that we'll get to as many as we can. So Brenda will ask the panelists the first set of questions, and then I will chime in if we have some extra time. Thanks, Brenda.
Great, thanks, Katie. And I'll try and keep it to just a couple so that we can get to some of the questions of folks who've asked them in the Q&A as well. I know, Erin, and maybe others can chime in on this, you spoke to current air quality, and there's some questions about how will air, groundwater, and soil be monitored for public health protection and preservation. We got many questions asking about soil, groundwater, and air quality going into the future right now and into the future, and would love to hear sort of what is on the radar for that.
Sure, and Darla may have some additional comments since she's more involved in the debris and managing the contractors. but we are working towards getting some air quality monitoring in the burn areas and to monitor that particulate. Additionally, when the contractors go in to clean up, they are going to be under some really strict guidance to prevent migration of that debris and dust and ash as best as they can from migrating off the area where they're working. And homeowners are going to be notified. So houses that are remaining in a heavily impacted area, especially, they will all be notified before the cleanup starts happening. So they will have the opportunity to close their house down, turn off their air intakes, go somewhere for the day, and it's not going to be a 24/7 operation. So it's not going to be that same impact that the fire brought. But there is definitely no way around it. There will be some impacts, which is why we really want to get some monitors in there so that we can continue to monitor that. A lot of the data you might see on websites, the different air quality monitoring websites are not going to be as accurate currently. And they're going to say, oh, everything's great, the air looks good. But they are far enough away that that particulate is likely not impacting those monitors. So that might not be the most accurate, which is another reason we really want to try to get some monitors in that area. Darla, do you have anything to add in terms of the work being done and the safety aspect requirements?
Sure, thank you, Erin. Yes, as part of our debris cleanup program, there are requirements, as Erin suggested, for us to have stormwater measures in place. I even met with FEMA today and requested authorization to move forward with putting down a hydroseed type material. It's a tackifier, but it doesn't have the seed in it. So when the ground dries after our snow that we have, we can apply this material to the ash to keep it from blowing all over the neighborhoods, particularly in Superior where we have such high windy days out there. There's also asbestos inspections that will be taking place. There's soil remediation work with our cleanup program and soil sampling that will take place, and an entire site closeout process. And it's all monitored. The workers are all certified and they will be wearing personal monitors, as well as we will have monitors in the streets where the work is being conducted.
Thank you. And this may also apply to both of you. Are there any specific safety precautions for pregnant women and babies and young children who may be returning home amid this disaster?
I would definitely say that young children should not be allowed to be outside playing, especially if there's a heavy ash area around you, especially until Darla, we can get that tackifier, the sticky substance that will help prevent the ash from blowing, applied. I always recommend that when it comes to health concerns, people reach out and talk to their healthcare providers about what requirements they should follow, especially if they're pregnant or they have young children, especially if they're immunocompromised. But we are releasing, again, definitely checking our website for information as we are putting out as much as we can, as fast as we can, especially as more information comes available.
Thank you. Darla, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, I was just going to add a little bit more to what Erin said, in that we do recommend that if you're going back into a smoke damaged home, that you have a consultant come out, a professional come out to do an assessment on your home to determine if it is safe to return to, because the ash and the particles, even though your electricity might have been off with such high winds, it's likely that that material with heavy metals and potentially asbestos containing material did come into your home. So we do recommend that it gets looked at before you move back in. And also I wanted to assure everyone that we will be sending notice out before any work begins in any neighborhood where things could potentially be getting stirred up, you will receive notice and have plenty of advance notice about that.
Great, thank you, Darla. And then we did get several questions that were submitted ahead of time that were about insurance. I would again just reiterate the website that our folks from United Policy shared. I opened it and it looks like it's full of resources, and we encourage you to go there and to reach out to them with your questions about insurance. Katie,
Brenda,
let's
can I
have some.
add a specific question about insurance that's come up in the chat, a bunch that maybe Amy can answer?
Absolutely, let's go for it.
Amy, what's the kind of stock answer for where people should first go if they are underinsured? What's the best resource for the underinsured folk?
Well, always the best is to start by getting informed, you know, that as on the lay of the land, which is basically, it's very fact specific to get an insurance company to pay you above what the policy says that they owe. But if you have any kind of documentation of in writing that you're underinsured through no fault of your own, that you had a communication with them and they assured you that you had adequate coverage and you have that kind of proof, that can really help you reach an informal settlement. You can also confer with the Division of Insurance, but in general, people find either they have to be incredibly tenacious on their own and or hire an attorney to help them. We have a lot of materials on our website on remedying underinsurance. It's challenging, but it can be done. Often gets done behind closed doors through confidential settlements. But again, it really helps if you have some sort of history of a communication between you and an insurance agent or company about the adequacy of your coverage.
Thank you. Katie, do you want to share some questions that you've seen come in?
Yeah, I have a question for Mike. So Mike, could you talk a little bit about why the emergency sirens did not go off in this case and what happened with people that did not get emergency alerts?
There we go. Yeah, as far as the sirens are located down Superior, there's two there. As far as I know, they were not activated. I don't have an answer as to why they were not used. Primarily, the sirens are designed for flood and severe weather events. They're an outdoor warning siren system. I saw someone else in the chat too talk about, would the wind affect it? We'd have to study that, but yes, high winds can affect then the audible effectiveness of that siren. So part of that debrief process I was talking about, these were things that with the response, we'll be able to dive down and get more clear, detailed answers to. As far as the emergency alerts going off or not, people receiving them, our 911 center is the launch center for those emergency alerts. They are, so if there's a specific address, please let me know what that is. We'll get it over to our center. Sorry, my light went off there. And we will, do a deeper dive into that a specific address and determine if there's something we can figure out. If there's a whole sort of like the whole neighborhood didn't get it, that's part of what that after action report or debrief will unveil, as we'll get with the responders and try to find out, where were they in relationship to the fire growth, the timing it takes to issue the alerts and that sort of thing. There was also, I think, some comments, and you'll see it in the media, around wireless emergency alerts. We did put out a press release today to try to provide some information to be transparent as possible for the community to see how the system works, and then also understanding the wireless emergency alert piece, which is getting on your phones. Boulder County, just so everyone knows, as we have been working on getting that capability in the county. It's not that we haven't ignored it, it's just the timing of this fire, but we are moving towards that and have been for some time and making improvements in our system over the last 18 months. So we will continue in achieving that goal and then also make sure that we're using that effectively, because there are some issues. I've seen some other people talk about traffic when wide area alerts are issued. There's a danger of getting a lot of traffic in the infrastructure roadways and then causing backups. Then the idea behind that is layering the evacuations so that it's a balance between warning everybody at once and then also trying to effectively and efficiently evacuate people out in vehicles and things of that nature, trying to get the people closest to the hazard area moved away from that and towards the core of the city. I didn't make those decisions. I don't have the intel to answer specific how decisions are made or when, and that will come out further analysis in our after action process. So those are some of the questions. I hope that answers some of it. The thing we look at with wireless emergency alerts, they're used very frequently all the time in weather because of like a climb to safety for a flash flood, go to your basement for a tornado, an active shooter, stay in your house and hunker down. And those aren't requiring an evacuation piece. So the technology could effectively be used in that way, but there's still some issues and things we have to evaluate on the wireless emergency alert system. And then of course, as far as getting people into our existing system, it works very well for those that are in it. We have been doing preparedness work throughout the year, trying to get people into it. Obviously people weren't, so there are definitely some gaps around that preparedness element. So we will look at that and see how we can better market that system and get more and more people into it moving forward. So that's what I have for folks tonight. I hope there's more opportunities to discuss this going forward and we'll be able to address those issues. And I'm sorry, I'm talking too fast, Brenda, for the translation. I did it again. So my apologies to the translators. That's the answer I have, Katie, at this time.
Thank you so much. So we have a lot of debris questions coming in. I just want to reiterate, there will be a debris specialist at each of the separate breakout sessions. So since we have only a couple more minutes and some other non-debris related questions, I'm going to ask those and just let the debris specialists know that there's questions coming from you at those separate breakout sessions. So I have a question for FEMA and United policyholders, and I'm not sure who's best to answer this question. If there's
Katie,
yeah.
Before you do that, I just want to let folks know that I'm going to put again in the chat the links to the Superior and to the Louisville meetings that are following this meeting. So those will be in the chat. Some of you may have received an email from me today giving you that link. This is the same link. So if you have that email, you're all set. But if you don't, this will be the information you need to join that next meeting that is for your community only. If you live in unincorporated Boulder County, not in Louisville or in Superior, stay here with us in this link. This is where your meeting will be. Go ahead, Katie.
And apologies also to the translators because I speak fast like Mike. So if there was a renter in a home that burned and the owner of the home was impacted and the renter of the home was impacted, how does the FEMA and insurance process work?
So I'm just going to speak to the insurance piece, and my colleague Val, if she has anything to add on the FEMA piece, she can. So the renter's personal property hopefully is insured through, if they have renter's insurance, it won't be covered under their landlord's policy. But so if you have renter's insurance, that's where you claim both your stuff and then your temporary rent. But it can be, you're going to have to work with the landlord because generally, if you don't have insurance, their policy is not going to cover your stuff. That's where FEMA comes in.
Yeah, and it's somewhat of a similar answer from FEMA as well. FEMA provides assistance for repair to homeowners, whereas renters would be potentially eligible for things like personal property and potentially some additional rental assistance in need of relocation.
Thanks. Adam and Amy. We really appreciate that. So the last question I'm going to have is for Gary. Gary, were you able to get back on? Are you still here?
Yes.
Okay, Gary, can you talk about what about people that can't access the DAC in person right now? And once again, DAC is Disaster Assistance Center. And what resources might be available for them now or in the future?
Yeah, I've been responding in the chat or in the question and answer to those folks and giving them my email address to reach out to me directly, and we'll explore some options. So if someone, whoever's putting email addresses into the greater chat, they put mine in there. Appreciate that.
Also, my email address is on the press release and all the information for tonight. And I'm directly connected to Gary and the DAC. So if you somehow need someone else to contact about virtual DAC services, you can email me too, and I'll make sure Gary and the DAC get it. Brenda, do you want to send us on our way to the breakout sessions?
Absolutely. So if you have attended a traditional Zoom meeting in the past, you may have been automatically spirited to a breakout or gotten to choose your breakout room. But in order to continue to provide Spanish language interpretation for each of the community meetings, we had to set up separate meetings. And so the links that you have there in the chat are the way that you'll go to join your next meeting. So I will stay here. We will be here with Unincorporated Boulder County for some time. If folks are having trouble connecting to those links that are in the chat, you can reach out back to me, and I will see if I can't get them to you in other ways while we're doing this next part of the meeting. But now is that time for you to head to your community-specific meeting through the link either in your email or the one I popped in the chat. Again, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you taking proactive steps toward community recovery and personal recovery. And our hearts are with you and your families at all times through this disaster. I see we've lost half our crowd, so I'm hoping they are joining their local community meetings. We're glad that we could provide that space for each specific community tonight. So I know that our smallest group was our unincorporated Boulder County. So I think we'll wait just a minute or two before we have that start that specific meeting. Let people get oriented to where they're going. And Katie, if you could be looking in the participant list to make sure we have all our speakers over for the second part of tonight's meeting. I do see some hands up. Charlotte and Sharon and Debbie, if you could pop your questions in the Q&A, which is an overwhelming Q&A at this point, but we will look at the bottom for your questions.
Brenda, do you know, is the chat going to be preserved through this?
It will, yes. We will save the chat and we will run a report. We can run a report of the questions and answers. So that should specific staff members want to go in and answer some of those, you can. They don't
Cody,
come in order.
Cody, I have some, don't answer them yet, but I have some pre-staged debris questions for you to answer that were in the general conversation, and I think we'll need to go more in depth about here. So the questions are, and don't answer them now. Can you explain how to apply for the debris removal program again once everybody's here? Who pays for the debris removal program, the FEMA one that Darla was talking about? And how do residents get their precious items out of the debris if general program happens and they don't have any access to the any access to the debris.
So I have been answering that question till I'm blue in the face for days. I hate being the person having to say it. They do not get those back. They're lost, they're gone. I lost half my home in the 2013 flood. I know how horrible that is. This is worse. That ash is caustic, it's toxic. No one needs to be digging in ash for grandma's wedding ring. I know it's tragic and sad, but that's the question that's been tearing my heart out and turning my guts and knots for days.
Thanks, Bill.
I'd love to say out loud, sorry, Cody, that some folks are having trouble seeing the links in the chat. I am trying to send you individual chats. If you have your hand up, some folks have mentioned that the chat's disabled. You should be able to see a individual chat from me. So if you have your hand up, I will send you an individual chat to hopefully get you to that next meeting. And then I'll lower your hand so you can re-raise it if you're still having trouble.
So while we're waiting to officially start in this room, welcome Boulder County Unincorporated residents. I have been in contact with many of you separately through direct reaching out. I will continue to be a resource for unincorporated Boulder County residents. I will put my email address in the chat again. Additionally, there are some community leaders who we'll talk about later who are sending out group community messages to the unincorporated Boulder County areas. So let's get you connected if you're not on that list yet. And then I will hand it off to Brenda this time.
All right, I am still trying to get some folks into the next meetings. Maybe Katie, you can cut and paste what I put in the chat and send it as an individual chat to folks who have their hand up. You do that by scrolling your mouse to the right of their name, sort of right over where you see their hand up in the participant list. Click on more, and then you should be able to chat to them specifically. Let me know if you can't do that. Yeah, thank you all again for joining us for this part of the meeting. And for these smaller meetings, we just wanted to take a moment to breathe together. We know that everyone's been running in a million different directions for the last week, and that it has all been very hard. And sometimes it's helpful to just take what I like to call 1 minute of self-care to breathe together. So I invite you to sit comfortably. However that is for you. It might mean with a straight back. It might mean with both feet on the floor, if that's comfortable. I invite you to close your eyes if you wish, and to just sit in your space and be with yourself just for a moment. And let's inhale deeply through our nose and exhale through your mouth. And continue to take deep breaths as you give yourself the space to just be here tonight, to focus on what comes next for you to help make it better. Inhale through your nose, hold, exhale through your mouth. Consider the community around you that is with you, that is in this alongside you, and how you can hold each other during this time. One more deep breath together. Inhale and exhale. and open your eyes. We hear you and we see you. I know we can't see you at this meeting, but we see you and we know. And we invite you to continue asking your questions in the Q&A box. Our speakers will continue providing information, and hopefully you will come away tonight knowing more than you did when we started and having some idea of where to go next. And with that, I will hand it back to Katie.
And I am just going to hand it straight off to Claire and or Marta. It looked like Claire was ready to welcome you all. So maybe we'll let Claire have a chance and then Marta.
Okay, and I'm happy to have Marta join me on screen. My name is Claire Levy. I'm a Boulder County Commissioner, and I wish I could say that it's a pleasure to be with you all this evening. I know you're here because you've lost, in some cases, your entire home, all your possessions, all the objects that embody your history, your memories, and you see the land that you have lived on, and it is scarred. It is it's not the nurturing, fertile, beautiful place that was your home, and I know that hurts, and so I'm happy that we could come together and provide some information, because I'm sure that right now what you most need is information. You want to know where to go, how to get help, how to rebuild, when you can rebuild, what are the financial implications. The questions will keep coming, and they're not going to come in any logical way. They're just going to come. And so we at Boulder County are here for you for as long as this takes. You're going to hear this, you've heard it before, and you're going to hear it again many times, that we have experience with this, and that's an unhappy thing. It's an unfortunate thing in Boulder County, but we do. My first exposure was representing this area in the 4 Mile Canyon fires, and this county responded. We had the floods, we've had several other major fires, and the people who are with us today, Gary Sanfason, Mike Chard, many other people from Boulder County, are the very best at providing information, assistance. If they don't know, they'll tell you where to find that information. But I just want you to know that we will be with you in every way that we can for as long as we can be. And please don't hesitate to reach out. Go to the DAC if you haven't been there already, but that's not your only opportunity. For information, Gary Sanfason and Katie Arrington are our disaster recovery team, and they can direct anything you need to anybody in Boulder County that can help you. It's been 1 week, that's all it's been, and I know it probably in many ways feels like a lifetime because of the huge change that has happened in your life, but it has been 1 week, and we know that it's going to take a long time to to be ready to make some decisions about what you want to do in the future. We'll be reaching out with information about rebuilding, about what we might be able to do to facilitate that, to get resources to you. We're just at the beginning of this as well. And it's just, I think we're all experiencing the heartache of seeing what could have been a festive time of the year just go so wrong and so quickly. No way to prepare for it, no way to prepare emotionally. And so it's going to take some time, and I hope you'll take advantage of the mental health resources that are available and anything else that there is. And I hope that we can provide information tonight. And I think we have people who are going to spend a little time talking, and then my hope is that most of the time will be for question and answer. So again, I just want to tell you how sad I am and how much I feel for your loss. Thanks.
Thank you, Claire. And thanks, Katie, for bringing us together. Thanks, everybody, for joining us this evening and giving us an opportunity to provide information and, as Commissioner Levy just said, to hear from you in what will be the beginning of really important conversations to know how we can respond to you as unincorporated Boulder County residents. It's no secret, over the last year, county residents have struggled with so many difficulties, from the pandemic, where we already were, with exacerbated impacts to health and economic hardships and healthcare disparities, and now fire that is impacting the one thing that often provides safety and comfort for us all in any difficult time, and that's the loss of your homes. My heart also goes out to every Boulder County resident that's been impacted, and I do want to acknowledge how tiring, exhausting, and challenging it is to be in public service right now, so that we can give thanks to the firefighters and the first responders, all of those volunteering at the DAC, the Disaster Assistance Center that was talked about earlier in this meeting, those that are working in the Office of Emergency Management, and everyone who's providing responses to each and every need that impacts our communities as we continue to provide information and come up with solutions together to address all of those questions as they continue to come in. There's going to be a need for a lot of different types of support, and that might be funding requests to support the disaster resources, including our own county staff. One of our greatest resources as a community is to come together and help each other during disasters. What I want to just be clear about this evening, and appreciate you giving us as commissioners an opportunity to join in this conversation, because we will work to provide support wherever is needed in policies and procedures, creating new workflows and funding to create continuous communication of our services, to work together to develop a manner of case management that will work best for the community. After hearing from all of you tonight on the meeting January 19th that we've already been invited to, and appreciate your convening, and obviously in the future months as we continue to work together. We recognize that this is a multi-jurisdictional effort and we'll be continuing. There were some questions in the chat about different resources, not just the ones that joined us this evening, but the state and DOLA and others who will, we will continue to advocate on your behalf. We recognize that you're all dealing with a lot of different types of emotions, and will continue over the next weeks and years to come. We can't continue to be resilient if we don't recharge. And the expectation in Boulder County is that we continue to be strong. And just because Boulder is known for being strong, it's not sufficient. We need to really look to each other and find ways to recharge in small ways in the coming days and weeks and months. Because we have within us the energy and the enthusiasm and excitement that we're going to need to continue to remind each other about all the reasons that we choose to live in Boulder County, in unincorporated Boulder County, in these very unique areas, so that we can remind each other about the beauty that we do share together. And just appreciate all of you being here this evening, sharing out the video for the information to folks who may not have heard. I've been online for this first hour, responding to folks who didn't know about this meeting. And so we still have a responsibility to continue to share that information, and we appreciate that. Want to give a real appreciation to the City of Boulder for hosting this, and of course all of our staff and the interpreters that are providing this information as well this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta and Claire. We appreciate you being here tonight. And I think hearing some of the community members' questions will help inform how we move forward as a county. So I'm going to give Dale Case just a couple minutes to talk about what rebuilding will look like in general. So he's just going to talk a little bit high level stuff, and then we can ask specific questions. Take it away, Dale.
Sure, thank you. And I appreciate everybody being here. Good evening. My name's Dale Case. I'm the Director of Community Planning and Permitting for Boulder County. And like the others have expressed, my heart does go out to the community, and we are here to help and to listen to you and to help build this conversation. And this is the first conversation, but this is definitely not our last. I'm going to invite and put my email address and some other contact information in the chat so that you have it. And so that you can help spread the word to your neighbors and others that you know could not attend this meeting tonight of how to contact us. We're here to support you in the recovery. We want to understand your needs and your ideas on how we can best provide the services of rebuilding to you. I wish at this point I had all the answers, but we don't. And we need to work with you to understand your needs so that we can develop those answers. I encourage everyone to really listen and focus on the debris management side as presented by Darla and her team. It's a tremendous program that will help you get to those first steps in rebuilding. I recognize everyone is on different timeframes and in a different space, and staff will be available to you to help as you approach your recovery and rebuilding process and decisions. The website for the county is a really great place to register so that we have your email address and we can get information out to you on rebuilding, on things that are moving forward. We are a resource for information on any past permitting on your property, subdivision requirements, setbacks from property lines. Unfortunately, we don't keep residential building plans in our system. So likely we don't have plans for your house unless it was built very recently, but please reach out to us and we'll see what we can find for you. And our staff is eager to work and help you. We appreciate your assistance and grace as we work with you to develop our rebuilding structure. We will hold some community sessions specifically on rebuilding over the next several weeks to help hear from you about questions and needs. We anticipate standing up a recovery structure that will help you navigate the rebuilding process, help you navigate through the different needs for building. If you have architects or other professionals, we will help work with them to give them the information they need. We're going to make regulatory changes to adjust timeframes for rebuilding. Currently, people have 1 year to rebuild without going through our site plan review process. We recognize in disasters of this scale that we need to adjust that time, that 1 year, unfortunately, is not enough time. And we've made that change in past disasters. We'll make it again so that you have the space to have time to make the decisions, to work through the insurance process, work through the design process, and move forward without having to rush to try to avoid a county process. We will adjust those timeframes to work with you on that. We will prioritize our resources to the process and try to seek additional resources that we can so that you can build within the time frame that's going to work with you, that you're not stuck in a long review wait time. Right now with the supply chain issues and contractor issues, we understand that timing is going to be critical for all of you as you get things ready and when you're ready to go. And we're going to be there to work with you so that we're not the stopgap in that process. Yes, building permits are required. You must meet our current building code. There are fees that are associated with that. That's part of your insurance settlement and work with that. We will work with you on on all these issues as we move forward and make this system work for you as we understand your needs. We're going to work with you to identify these areas. We're going to look at developing incentive programs to improve our built environment, to provide information, education, and opportunities to build back stronger, addressing energy efficiency and alternatives, fire safety, non-flammable materials, water efficiency and quality, all these opportunities that exist to build back better. So I'm going to be here to answer questions. I know people have many, and we will take them down where we can answer them and begin working on them. So thank you for your time.
Dale, can you just answer one right now that I feel like
Sure.
there's a lot that's in the chat? Will the county allow temporary housing on properties with rebuilding happening, or is that a case-by-case basis?
It's something that we will determine the need for and look to do. We've allowed temporary housing in the past on properties. Oftentimes people want it in a recreational vehicle. There are some safety concerns with that. We have concerns also if there's not a functioning septic system on the property of waste disposal. So we have to work on those by case basis, but it is something that we can work with a property owner to try to accommodate.
Great, thanks, Dale. So we're gonna have Aaron Dodge. Aaron, are you still here? Yes, you are. Will you just give us, a lot of these unincorporated Boulder County residents have damaged septic tanks and septic tanks that might need some testing. Can you just talk about septic tanks specifically as an issue?
Sure. So your septic system can absolutely be impacted by a wildfire, especially if firefighting activities were on your property and defending it. So if your home is still standing, it could, if you see tire marks and things like that, you should definitely be keeping an eye on that soil treatment area to make sure it's not surfacing. If your the lids or risers on your tank have melted, you're definitely going to want to have those replaced. You want to prevent as much as possible any additional moisture from all this snow getting into your tanks, because that can create an excess impact using your septic system, sending all of that snow melt out to your septic. We have done some research on septic to see how many properties were impacted, and we do know that just about everybody who was in unincorporated county was on septic. And we are working really hard to understand the magnitude of the damage to the septic systems in the county. So don't know where the best place is, Katie, to put a email address that people can, if they have questions specific to their septic system, that they can email if the chat is something that everybody can see, or
you should have the option to chat to everyone.
Okay.
And then everyone can see it.
So I will put that email address in there. So if you have specific questions about your septic system, please reach out. My staff is ready to help and answer questions. We do know that most of all the septic systems were approved and permitted. There's a very small handful that were unapproved. And so we want to work with those residents to make sure during your rebuilding process that we ensure that your system can be brought into compliance and be permitted and approved to protect water quality. We are intending to, if your house is being rebuilt by the owner, the same owner, we do intend to waive permitting fees as long as you aren't increasing bedrooms or changing the design of the system. If you're just going to reconnect your house to your existing septic system, we do want to waive those fees for you. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions, but I am going through the chat as quickly as I can, and we'll definitely want to answer your questions.
Thanks, Erin. All right, Cody. So Cody is our debris specialist. for this call. He is very closely aligned with Darla, and he can speak to the debris program just as well as she can. And I just want to start off with a couple questions, Cody. Could you reiterate how to apply for the debris program? And could you reiterate what costs might be associated with the debris program?
Sure. Yeah, happy to answer those questions. So first question was how to register. In order to do that, please go to the DAC, that Disaster Assistance Center, and that's in Lafayette. What's the address? It's 1755 South Public Road. When you're there, you just need to register with HHS, and we will get your information through that channel to be able to reach out to you for the cleanup effort that will be starting next week. So yeah, go to the DAC, register with HHS. HHS and our debris cleanup team we're going to be communicating and getting residents information that are interested in being part of that program. So that's the first step. The second question was who pays for this, correct? So because this is a FEMA declared disaster, FEMA will cover anywhere from 75% to 100% of the debris cleanup effort, depending on your determination. This depends on, insurance coverage and a couple of different things. The difference there, if FEMA doesn't cover 100%, the county and or your municipal partner, I guess this is for the county, so this would be county specific, will cost share the respective remaining portion of those costs. Additionally, oftentimes the state will have funds to dedicate to that debris cleanup effort as well to cover those fundings, the gaps there. I think that pretty much covers it. So there was a question about accessing debris. I think Bill actually answered that before anyone had a chance to do otherwise, but just want to reiterate, I know that this is really difficult. You want to get back to your home. You want to find out if anything survived. But again, just to put another point on that, with Boulder County Public Health's recommendation is that you do not sift through ash because it is caustic material and it can be harmful to health. If you do sift through your ash, be very safe about it. Wear PPE, wear an appropriate mask. But yeah, the recommendation officially from Public Health is just don't do that. You're muted, Katie.
The first time I got it wrong tonight. Thanks, Cody, for being here. And if you have a specific debris question that you already asked and we haven't answered yet, if you could ask it again. We're going to try to answer questions that come in after the 7 o'clock changeover time because we don't know who's still here. So if you have a debris question for Cody, ask it to us in the Q&A, and he'll either answer it directly or we'll get it answered on screen. So last, Gary, do you want to talk about what long-term recovery looks like in the county and how our team does that with community?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Again, Gary Sanfason, the Boulder County Disaster Recovery Manager. I just want to acknowledge that there's a lot of questions and we don't have a lot of answers right now. And I know that's hard for you to hear, but in any disaster, it's an ongoing process to figure out how we're going to address these issues and solve them. So I just ask you to be patient. Go to the recovery website. There's a big orange button where you can share your email and contact information with us so we can start a conversation, a relationship with you. This is going to be a long-term relationship. I've worked on the 2010 4 Mile Fire, 2013 flood recovery, 2016 Cold Springs fire, and most recently the 2020 Cowwood fire. And I can tell you, working with all those folks that have been impacted, this is a marathon. This is a long-term effort. This is going to take years. I know that's hard to hear, but I can just share with you right now, the Cowwood fire folks who were impacted and lost their homes in the fall of 2020, out of those 20 some odd homes that were destroyed, we've only issued 3 building permits. That's how long this takes to remove debris, to complete the insurance claim process, to get an architect to design your home, to get a contractor to build. It just takes time. And so we're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here with you. And, we're here to advocate for you. We are currently in this intensive, immediate needs phase. And that's what the Disaster Assistance Center is about. We are creating a transition plan from the Office of Emergency Management to the recovery. We're creating a structure in the organization of the county to best implement the recovery for you. A key part of that is staying in contact with you, understand your challenges, your needs, your questions. So please, again, go to our website, boco.org/Marshall-Fire, and sign up for our email updates. I guess the other part I just want to say is given that how long this takes, it's so important that you take care of yourself. I know for myself, I learned the hard way in my first disaster in 2010. I burned myself out and physically had medical issues. So I know a lot of the fire survivors have done that as well in the past. So please take a breath, take your time, take care of yourself and your family. Do your usual activities that feed you. We're all in this together, and you have our contact information. We will be holding numerous community meetings like this to address various topics along this journey. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. So we have 3 pre-identified community members, all from the unincorporated Boulder County area, Cheryl, Deanna, and Joy. And they have, they're gonna start doing regular community emails and updates that they get directly from us, so that kind of the information goes out succinctly and regularly. So if you need to be connected with their email list, an email spreadsheet, I've put my email in the chat several times. I'll put it in the chat again. And if you are not connected on the current email list that is being compiled by those 3 women, let me know and we'll get you connected. And if you're not connected, it just started 2 days ago. So it's just all kind of happening grassroots, piece by piece, individual by individual, whoever we meet and asks to get added. So you haven't missed anything yet. The fact that you're here shows that you're getting information, and we'll get you connected to those women. I'll put my email in the chat again. So do you have some questions ready to go, Brenda? I haven't.
I do, but Joy is here.
Okay.
And Cheryl is here. So if they wanted to say hello, they can.
Oh, great.
Cheryl,
I'm so sorry, Joy and Cheryl.
Yeah, and Cheryl, you'll need to accept your invitation to become a panelist. That should be on your screen right now. But I can also give you permission to speak. So Cheryl, you should be able to, oh, great. You came over. So if you ladies would like to say hello, here's a moment for you to do so. You should be able to turn on your cameras and unmute.
Hi there, it's Joy. I'm just a resident of Spanish Hills and on the board here in our little corner. Happy to advocate for you guys or be a conduit for more information. And if you don't know me, I'm Joy. Thanks for doing this, guys.
Great. Thank you so much. Yes.
Can I just jump in and say something, Brenda?
Please do.
Yeah, so what we've learned in past disasters is that most of you are really focused on trying to rebuild your lives and recover, and that's totally expected. And it's really helpful to have someone in your community serve as a kind of communication liaison with us, is what we've learned with the county. And so Joy and Cheryl and a couple others have volunteered to serve in that capacity, which is really helpful for us because they know you, they know they're, you can trust them. They will serve as the gatekeepers for us to help us understand how, your recovery is going, what are your challenges, what are your needs. And that's in addition to having community meetings. But so, we really want to work closely with them. We found that to be a real valuable way of working with communities. And so they're not going to work just with Spanish Hills, but with all the unincorporated area that's been affected. So Joy, maybe you can share your contact information so people can how they can sign up with you in addition to the county. Appreciate that.
Sounds good. And I'd say Cheryl has been working on that master list for all of the impacted homes back here. I think she's going to introduce herself too. She's on mute, it looks like. But yeah, I'm happy to put my information in the chat. And I think most of the folks in Spanish Hills know me, and most of Paragon maybe, but I'm happy to put it in there, and definitely reach out if you guys need anything that I can be helpful with.
Great. And I don't know, Cheryl, if you want to say hello. Otherwise, we will jump into some questions.
Well, and do you want to talk about the community meeting that you're setting up, Cheryl and Joy?
I can do that. We are setting up a separate meeting, and Cheryl sent some notes about this yesterday to the folks that we have email for. That meeting is going to be tentatively held at St. Ambrose Church, and it will be in person and also optionally live streamed with Zoom and recorded. They have that technology there already in place for the church. So that will be, I believe we settled on the 18th?
Wednesday, January
19th. That's right. So on the 19th at 6 o'clock is the date and time we planned for that. We did want to have this meeting first and get all the experts together. But between now and then, I'm sure there's going to be more questions, and we thought that would be a good venue for this smaller breakout group to go in person and meet with some of these same folks that are really advocating just for unincorporated Boulder County.
And Gary and I will be there for sure, and we will bring the other resources as requested by community members. So we might have someone from community planning and permitting again, or debris again. So we will provide what the community is requesting. We do not go into those meetings with county agendas. We really operate them as listening sessions to hear the community needs and struggles and where you're getting caught up in the process.
Great. I'm going to jump into a couple questions that were submitted, and then I know Katie is probably, again, doing a wonderful job of rounding up themes that are in the Q&A box, which I'm also can help with. One question that we're seeing a lot of variations on is about permitting. I know we talked a little bit about it, Dale, but maybe you could speak to, is there a plan to expedite the permitting process? And will you be hiring extra staff, things like that?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the questions, and sorry if I didn't clearly address that initially. When we have done disaster recovery, we have brought on additional staff. We have prioritized the permits for those people who have lost homes so that they don't wait in the same queue as other permits, and so it happens quicker. So yes, we are planning on doing that. We are going to work on that structure as we move forward, but we will work to make it happen as efficiently and quickly as possible.
Terrific, thank you. Maybe for our commissioners, there's a question about property taxes and how property taxes are handled during a time when the home on the property has been destroyed.
I am happy to jump on here, and thanks, Jana. I see our county administrator who may have is going to jump in here. Thanks, Jana.
Hi, I'm Jana Peterson. I'm county administrator. I'm sitting here at the Disaster Assistance Center, which is why I have my mask on. We are closed, but still wrapping up business for the day. The answer from the assessor's office is that for your 2021 taxes, all property owners will be sent a land value only for 2021. For 2022, those notices will be more specific to the damage on your property. Those assessments will be happening here in the next couple of months. So for 2022 taxes, you'll get a notice on May 1st from the assessor's office, and all properties will be at the residential rate, which is a lower rate. So a couple of pieces of relief coming your way on the property tax side. And I would encourage you to send more detailed questions to the assessor's office or to our assessor, Cindy Braddock.
Also, the treasurer directly has been getting asked a lot of questions about property taxes. And before this meeting, he let me know that there's a video online talking about that issue specifically, which I just put in the chat if anybody has wants to kind of hear what Jana said in more detail or offline, or when you haven't just been in a community meeting.
Great, thank you. One other that we had both as a submitted question, but I'm also seeing a similar question in the Q&A. So I'm going to read it from the Q&A tonight. Will the county allow temporary housing on properties that have space to accept such housing while homes are being rebuilt? And for example, that might be RVs or tiny homes or other types of temporary housing. Thanks, Dale.
Sure, Dale Case again. And I think we answered it a little bit earlier. Yes, we have provisions to allow temporary housing. It has to meet some minimum requirements. Has to have a waste disposal system, so be able to be hooked up to septic, electrical, and things like that. But we can work with property owners again as we move forward to permit those types of things.
Great, thank you. And Katie, do you want to pull some themes out, or would you like me to continue?
I know that Gary let me know he had a couple other comments to add. So Gary, do you want to speak for a minute?
Yeah, sure, thanks. So I know some folks were talking about that they couldn't get to the DAC. Maybe they were out of town, or there will shortly be an online option to registering on the website. But for now, if you are in town, I would urge you to go to the DAC, register at the Housing and Human Services table, which is the first station you reach after going through FEMA. And that data will be shared with all county departments, including debris. So the other concern about debris sifting, I just want to say I concur with public health that doing it on your own is not a safe option. However, there are national nonprofits who specialize in this. They actually come to these kind of disasters with many volunteers and have the proper training and equipment, personal and other equipment, to do that kind of sifting. There's several at the Disaster Assistance Center right now. So I'd urge you to go to the Disaster Assistance Center and sign up with those organizations, and they can go out and help you sift, and they have all the proper training and equipment to do that. And we've had experiences where those folks have retrieved some jewelry and other mementos. So I don't urge you to do it on your own. It's a very hazardous and unsafe environment. That's it.
Cody, some more debris questions for you have come in. So there's a debris question about foundations and whether those are part of the debris removal program, and then landscaping, trees, other kind of woody, non-hazardous debris, and what that looks like.
Sure. Yeah, so does debris removal include foundations? It is a case-by-case basis. It has to be inspected by a Colorado State licensed engineer, structural engineer, to determine whether or not that foundation is still stable and able to be used as a house again. If it's not, then yes, it would be included in the removal of that debris. And what was the other question? I'm sorry.
Trees and
trees and debris. Yeah. So this disaster, because it's been classified as a wind caused fire, essentially. So wind and fire are covered as part of this disaster debris cleanup. So those tree limbs, felled trees are all included as part of the debris cleanup effort. And again, if you want to be a part of the county-led process there, please go to the DAC and register and let us know who you are, what your address is, and that will be part of our process. And you'll be taken
And then there's
care
a couple questions. If they're going to do debris removal on their own through their insurance company, are permits required? What's required of that process?
Yeah, so if you want to take care of the debris removal on your own, you are absolutely within your rights to do that. You are welcome to do that. You do not have to take part in the county-led private property debris removal process. If you do want to do that, you do have to get all of the permitting done for the debris removal. You have to get, if there's, asbestos containing ash, you have to get that disposed of properly. You have to have, the contractors that you hire have to all be licensed with the county through the hauler licensing program, because they're going to be hauling tons and tons of material, and that all has to be done safely. And then in terms of like closeout and things like that, you have to take care of those final inspections after the debris is removed to get the go ahead to proceed with rebuilding. And I want to reiterate also, just really quickly, Mike Chard at the EOC always says this is a marathon, not a sprint. And I would encourage everybody, I know you want to get back to normal as soon as possible, but this really is it's going to be quite a long process. And I know that's hard to hear, and I don't like saying it, but it's the fact of the matter is this is going to take a long, long time. We're talking months, years, potentially. So, really weigh your options, consider what the best plan for it is for you. Don't make a snap decision on anything. Whether it's for debris removal or, building a new house or whatever you're going to do, really take the time to consider that.
Thanks, Cody. So this might be a commissioner level question or feedback for the commissioners, but this was also in the earlier Q&A before, but some conversation about how to incentivize builders, big commercial builders, to come to the area. And has that been talked about at all? And what are your plans for that, and helping the community build back faster if they can?
Well, I can start on this, and then maybe Dale and I'm sure Marta will want to talk about it as well. As far as, yeah, there's a shortage of contractors. It's a labor shortage. And whether we can incentivize some of the larger builders to come, I don't want to give anybody false hope. I frankly don't think so. It's possible that in Louisville and Superior, where there's more of a subdivision, subdivisions were lost that lend themselves more to a production home environment. I know, we are having conversations about how to clear the way for that to happen. It's just going to be much more difficult in unincorporated Boulder County because we don't have the same kind of building environment, and there's we can't, to get a company to come and work here that isn't already here, they're going to be competing for the very same workforce that is already here. They're certainly, they're not going to be able to import their labor, if they're working down in Colorado Springs or working in Grand Junction or somewhere else in Colorado. The shortage of housing is already making it really hard for people to find folks, and now there's even less housing. And so I don't want to hold out any hope on that. The other part of it was about expediting, and I think Dale addressed that a little bit. We have in the past tried to streamline things like site plan review with certain criteria, and Dale can address that in much more accurately than I can. But we've tried to create these criteria where if you want to build in the same footprint, essentially the same square footage and some other criteria, then there would be an expedited review process. But Dale, maybe you want to say that.
You said it so well, though, Commissioner Levy. So
say it again.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question, and Commissioner Levy and I have talked. She had the concept and idea of bringing forward this idea of, can we go after some commercial scale home builders and things like that, or other means to try to help the community do things. So I think it's a really good, one of those good discussions to have as we're preparing and planning for this. And are there ways we can incorporate some of our local builders who have contacted us and want to help and want to be there to kind of, maybe it's not a production build, but if we can do things where neighborhoods or subdivisions are working together to build close to the same time, you can share equipment, so equipment doesn't move as far, and they can share some of their subcontractors, and they can do things. So I really am kind of excited about that concept of trying to figure out if there are ways we can move those sorts of those ideas forward to really help you all out to get there quicker. As far as the permit process, yes, we have always raised those permits, or people rebuilding through, they don't wait in our queue. They move right through the process as quickly as we can get them through. We will work with you to try to anticipate when things are coming in so that we have the staff resources available to be able to meet what your expectations are and do it in an efficient manner. And as Commissioner Levy said, we have put in place specific regulations to help that happen in the past, and to help you be able to sometimes make small changes to your homes without having to go through big processes. So really scaling it to really address your needs.
Katie, just a time check. We just have a couple more minutes, so we might want to choose just maybe one or two more questions.
All the questions are very specific about debris right now. So I think we're going to keep chatting those answers to people. So I just want to reiterate everything that all the other county employees have said. We are in this with you for the long haul. Just so everyone knows, Gary and I, our full-time jobs are disaster recovery, whether we're in a disaster response or long-term recovery. We're not going to be pulled off. to other jobs. So we are here to help the Boulder County, unincorporated Boulder County community as long as this process takes. My email address has been in the chat pretty often. It's going to be on the website. Please contact me or email me. I've been helping residents with individual problems with Excel, with energy and power and internet. So if there's something that you think should have been turned back on to your house and you don't have that yet, or your neighbor doesn't have that yet, email me tomorrow. And a lot of those resources are at the DAC, and I can help walk through I can go talk to those people individually and help you get some resolution to your issues. So in closing, thank you for coming tonight. We're sorry we're in this situation. We're sorry we're here together. And I'm grateful to build community with you, and grateful to Deanna and Cheryl and Joy for helping be community leaders, and for all the speakers tonight, and for the city of Boulder hosting these events and all the translation that has been happening. Just don't hesitate to email me, or, I'll put my cell phone in the chat too, if you would rather text. I know emails get overwhelming sometimes. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us. We'll end the meeting now. Thank you, speakers.